Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Temi Talks Live here on the Wavy Baller Hub. If this is your first time joining me, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow the movement that is the Wavy Baller Hub. We're switching it up today. Mondays from here on forth, I am going to be doing a Premier League weekend review show. We're also going to be talking about the Carabao Cup today. What a great final that was. I have a special guest with me today, guys. I don't know how I got her, but she came and she joined me. So I'm really excited to have her on the show. Guys, if you're watching on Twitter, make sure to hop over to youtube.com, search the Wavy Baller Hub. Join us there. Make sure to hit the like button for me. Car Abdul, shout out to you. And he actually just gave us, the guest. So I'm going to bring her in. Big Newcastle fan. She's been on so many different platforms, Sky Sports, BT Sport. She's been everywhere. And I'm really honored that she's with me today. I have Kendall Rowan with me. How are you doing, Kendall?
I'm good, thank you. I like that intro.
Oh yeah, no,
I'll take that. Yeah.
I had to set you up the right way. You know what I'm saying?
No, thank you
Gotta
for having me. 100%.
gotta give you the grand introduction. I really appreciate you hopping on the show. I know you do a lot of different content creation. You're all over the place, so I appreciate you coming to my small little channel. You feel me?
No, absolutely not. No, don't worry at all. Thank you for having me. It is my pleasure. Absolutely.
Awesome. So we have a lot to discuss. I'm really excited to have you for this. We're going to be breaking down, like I mentioned, guys, we will be breaking down the Carabao Cup Final. We're going to be talking about all the games that happened over this past weekend. And guys, get your thoughts in the comments. There's a lot of things to discuss. First of all, Kendall, we're going to talk about the Carabao Cup Final. Wow, what a game. The weirdest, the most, I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a 0-0 that much. It was so weird. So much drama, so many different things happened in that game. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts were on that game.
Yeah, it was very end to end. Like as you say, I enjoyed the 0-0 more than anything. I really hate penalties. Obviously, especially when it's my team, but we never win penalties anyway. I think that's why. But no matter who it is, I always get really nervous for penalties. But yeah, I thought the game was really good. I thought both teams had really decent chances. In my opinion, I thought that Chelsea just had the better chances. There was a couple of arguments on Twitter this morning that people didn't think, and other people thought Liverpool had better chances. But yeah, I thought it was a really decent game. Chelsea didn't take their chances, unfortunately, and ultimately that cost them the game, in my opinion, because they had so many chances.
Right.
Specifically Mason Mount, Pulisic, Havertz all had their chances.
Yeah.
Even like Aspilicueta in the first half. So
right.
Yeah. I think it was a struggle for them, but obviously ultimately Liverpool ended up the winners. So
yeah, it's a weird one. You're 100% right. I definitely think that Chelsea, like if I'm just thinking off of the top of my head, I remember Pulisic's opportunity really early on. That what is Kelleher made a great. I mean, both keepers had amazing games.
Yeah.
Like it was ridiculous how many great saves we saw. But I really do think, I think the one chance that got to me the most was Mason Mount. I think it was in the second half. Christian Pulisic gives him a beautiful ball over the top. He has space and time, hits the post. I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe he didn't finish that. As a Manchester United fan, I was a Chelsea fan for the day. You feel me? I cannot stand seeing Liverpool win games. It pisses me off. It makes me upset. But yeah, no, it was a weird one. Like I think Liverpool had more dominant stretches in the game, if that makes sense. Like there was definitely a point where it was like a 20-25 minute stretch where it felt like Liverpool were just all over Chelsea and they couldn't get out. But then, again, Chelsea really had great opportunities. They defended well. I really can't think of anybody who had like a poor game. Maybe you could say Mason Mount because he didn't finish, really clear-cut chances, but everyone played well. Like I genuinely cannot think of one player I'm saying like, oh yeah, that person had like a bad game. And then to top it off, the penalty shootout like gave me like I had like PTSD because it literally the same thing happened to us in the Europa League final.
Yeah.
It gets all the way to the goalkeepers and a Spanish keeper essentially fucks it up. Like that's what happened. I'm like, oh my, I could not believe that they brought Kepa into the game only for him to, not save one penalty. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I
What
think
were your thoughts on that?
It's a mixture because I think if it's historically correct that Kepa is a really good penalty shootout saver.
Yeah.
In the past, he has been. I know he's had his ups and downs at Chelsea in general, but he is known to be a really, really good shot stopper in that occasion.
Right.
So I think that if Tuchel hadn't and he'd left Edouard Mendy on, who by the way had a fantastic game, I think he would have had a boost because he would have said, "Well, why didn't you bring?" Kepa on for the penalties, like is his speciality. That's what he needed to do. And then obviously he has brought him on and it's ended up the wrong decision. So I do genuinely think in that instance that it was a lose-lose for Thomas Tuchel regardless. It was either a lose-lose or a win-win. Either way he went. If they had won because of Kepa, then it would have been like, oh yeah, tactically like correct. So for me, I think either way, there was going to be issues about the decision. So he was kind of in between a rock and a hard place at that point to do what he needed to do. So yeah, I do understand why he did it. But at the same time, Mendy was just so on form yesterday and he was having such a good game. It ruined the momentum of of that game then. So as I say, it was a little bit of a hard decision either way because he was kind of just in a lose-lose. Like no matter what, there was going to be a problem if they lost. So I don't blame him for doing it, but as I say, I wouldn't have liked that headache at the time.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're right. Lose position. For me, only because Mendy was having such a good game and he's coming off of the back of winning a penalty shootout in the AFCON final. Like I would have personally kept him in, but I heard something that Chelsea has won like 3 penalty shootouts this season, which is ridiculous, right? Like the chances of that, they were bound to lose a penalty shootout, right? Like there's no way you're going to win 4, 5, 6 penalty shootouts in a row. Like it just doesn't, especially in a season at that, right? It just doesn't work that way. So it was a tough one. I feel bad for Kepa, right? There was a couple penalties where he had his finger, the Conte penalty, I think he had like his fingertip on it and he just didn't get it. So it's a weird one. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever, Liverpool get a Carabao Cup. I don't really care that much. Chelsea's still I think they're still in the FA Cup. They're still, fighting for Champions League, all that good stuff. So I don't think they're that depressed about it. No. It's just such a crazy, it's going to be a very memorable game. And I think this is something we're going to remember for a long, long time, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about that, but guys, share your thoughts in the comments on what you think about that game. We're going to move on to the Premier League this weekend, and it was a good weekend. It was a really interesting weekend, a lot of twists and turns and things like that. Because I have Kendall on the show, we're going to start with Newcastle, right? We're going to start with Newcastle and Brentford. Big win for Newcastle. Really, really big win for Newcastle. Gives them more points for safety. I'm trying to look at the table right now. Newcastle are sitting in 14th. They have 2 games in hand on Brentford, and a game in hand on Watford and Norwich, who are sitting at the bottom. So really good position. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts were on the game. I know I watched the highlights. I didn't get a chance to watch the full game, but what were your thoughts on that game overall?
Really impressed once again with the way that we played. It is very hard for me at the moment to pick out, as you said about Liverpool and Chelsea. It's very hard for me to pick out anybody at the moment for Newcastle who has had a bad game or who hasn't contributed to the team as much as the other one. The turnaround is just incredible in the last few months. Obviously, we are second in the form table in the league at the moment. Only Liverpool is ahead of us, and we actually are unbeaten in 2022, and we're now in March. Oh, wow. It is the longest unbeaten run that we've gone on since 2011. So for me, the turnaround is just insane. The game in general, I was really impressed. Obviously, I know there was a red card quite early on in the first 10 minutes for Josh De Silva, which it was a clear red in my opinion. I don't even think it was questionable at that point. It was an absolute clear red for me, but everyone was saying, well, that changed the game. Actually, I really don't think it probably changed it that much, because I honestly think half of the time, if you play with 10 men, you actually play better than you do with 11, because you're kind of making up for that disadvantage that you've got, and you find teams go out and try and attack a little bit more. But Brentford just didn't do anything. I got a text from one of my friends who's an Arsenal fan, and he was like, I'm sure that Tim Krul, I was going to say, I'm sure that Martin Dubravka is sat in the goal with a cup of tea. He was like, he hasn't done anything, like he hasn't done anything all game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really impressed once again, and the improvement in players like Joe Linton.
Joel Linton, the midfield maestro. Joel Linton, the midfield
Honestly,
maestro. What's going on with that?
Do you know what? I laugh because about a year and a half ago, under Steve Bruce, I was joking around on Twitter, and I was like, you know what? Every time I watch Joe Linton, he looks like a centre midfielder. This was when we were trying to make him a striker. Why we did that, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, everything about him, he looks like a centre midfielder to me, because like his holding play is really good. When he's on the ball, he's quite calm. He's not under pressure. It's when he has to pass, it's when he has to shoot. That's when he fumbles the bag. Or he had in the past. And I was joking about it, and people were like, you actually have no idea about football. This is a year and a half ago. You have no idea about football. So like it like pressured me into like being like, oh, I'm only joking. But like I wasn't actually joking. I was being deadly serious. And then look now, he is one of the most informed centre midfielders in the league at the moment, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. And yeah, he got his goal, which I was absolutely over the moon for him.
What a goal,
over the moon for him on Saturday. It was an absolutely brilliant goal, yeah. Brilliant header. So yeah, I was over the moon for him on Saturday.
No, guys, drop a like for me for Joel Linton. I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it. Honestly, when Newcastle appointed Eddie Howe, real talk now, I'm like, they're gonna be safe. They're gonna be safe. I was so confident. I'm such a big fan of Eddie Howe. Like people underestimate. He kept Bournemouth in the league for so long, and they were working on a budget with pennies. I mean, absolute pennies. I thought I lost you for a second. But like they were working on a budget with absolute pennies. I remember there was I can't even remember I think it's the season that Chelsea had Sarri, and Bournemouth wiped the floor of Chelsea 4-0. And I was like, whoa, like who is this manager with this budget doing this to big Chelsea? I could not believe it. And obviously things fizzled out with Bournemouth. I mean, there was no way he was going to keep them up any longer, especially with the way they were letting go of their best players and still not, replenishing players. So the opportunity for him at Newcastle, I'm like, this is perfect. If he keeps them up, they're going to be a very, very scary side. The football that he plays, like Bournemouth were very fun to watch. I don't know if they were very entertaining to watch when they were in the league. And now he's doing the same thing with Newcastle. So you guys are in a great spot. Like if I'm you, I'm really, really excited for this summer, and everything that has to do with, your club, because y'all are going to spend a lot of money.
The positivity is honestly crazy, because obviously everyone who's watched the Premier League for a long time will know that under Mike Ashley for 15 years, we were very poor. Two relegations in our history, which is more than we in the last 10 years, which was the most that we had in our history before that. It was just like a bad thing. So it's really strange for me now to actually look forward to games. And that's like the biggest thing for me, because we haven't had like much happiness or positivity around Newcastle for such a long time. Like it's actually weird that my week again is now like revolving around going to the games again. So it's just crazy to me. So yeah, I'm really, really impressed with how the turnaround is. And to be fair to Brentford, I think they're really in trouble at the moment. Their form is extremely bad at the moment, really, really bad. They could be pulled into relegation at this point if they don't fix up soon. So
right, I'm looking at Brentford. I'm seeing loss, draw, loss. I mean, that's really, really bad. They've already played 27 games, whereas everyone underneath them has played less games. So it's not looking good for them. They started off so well, and then I don't really know what happened. I haven't been watching. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Brentford this season, so I can't really say what the missing piece is or whatever the case may be. But like you said, they are in big, big trouble. I was going to go to Manchester United, but I want to go to Man City versus Everton. Oh, actually, let's look at this comment real quick. It says Newcastle should go for Rafinha, Elvedi, and Sangare. I don't know. I know about Rafinha. I can't speak to the other two because I'm not one of those guys who makes up that I know players that I don't. You know what I mean? I'm not that guy. There's so many people who do it on football Twitter. I'm like, I know you have never watched this person before.
So Elvedi centre back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sangare is a defensive midfielder, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, Sangare is a DM. To be fair, I don't think we need a DM now because we signed Bruno, who is primarily a DM. Even though his elements of play and his style is more of a box to box, primarily he is a defensive midfielder. So I believe he'll probably fit in there going forward.
Okay.
Elvedi, yeah, I wouldn't say no to Elvedi. I think Sven Botman is probably the main target still, if the owners are to be believed, because literally last week they said that they were still in contact with him and he wants to come. And if Leeds go down, there's going to be, even if Leeds don't go down, there's going to be at least 5 clubs in for Rafinha. So
for sure.
The only element we have over everybody else right now is that we can triple his wages.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that we have over everybody else.
Yes.
So yeah, I would love. I mean, can you imagine a team with Rafinha and Alan St-Maximin on the wings?
That's really good. That's
everyone,
really good.
Everyone will cry when they play us. So that would be insane. But yeah, I don't know if Newcastle is going to be his destination necessarily. But yeah,
we'll see.
That's to be fair, Osman. That's quite a good selection. Yeah, a good shout there. Quite a good shout.
No, I agree. Shout out to my boy Daniel. Big up Temi and Kendall. Really appreciate you, bro. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's right there. You guys can see it. Next on the list here, Everton versus Man City. I want to get on this conversation because VAR has Man City won 1-0 for everyone who wants to know, if you didn't know before. VAR has become such a controversial topic. It's almost like it's caused more problems than it's I don't even want to say that, because I do think they do get decisions right, but there's still so much gray area that needs to be figured out. I mean, what were your thoughts on that game? I thought Everton played really well, and I thought they deserved something out of the game. And then the VAR thing just made it really, really weird. What were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I agree. When we played Everton a few weeks ago, they looked horrible. I was like, oh my God, they're actually in big trouble. Because of the way that they played. I thought Lampard took on a little bit more than he could chew at that point, because we saw how he struggled at Chelsea, and Everton haven't got the best team around. They've struggled in recent years with their signings and spending a lot of money on players that have ended up not being overly good. Right. But to be fair to them, I agree with you. I thought they played very, very well on Saturday, and they were unlucky not to get something out of that game, at least a draw. Right. The handball, as Dan says, the handball was an absolute ridiculous joke. I know people are saying that he blew for offside prior to the handball, so obviously that was the initial decision. It was offside. But that handball, it wasn't even an accident. He actually went.
He took like 2 or 3 steps, and then it doesn't even make any. I can't even wrap my head around how bad of a how do you look at that? How do you look at that decision and in slow motion and say, oh no, it's inconclusive.
They're just they're begging for people to say that they're corrupt, because what else can you really say at this point?
Sometimes
it was ridiculous.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, do they do this for fan
like
reaction,
clickbait,
clickbait? It was that blatant. There's obviously some decisions where it's you can have your opinion on it and it's up in the air, but this one is just so blatant. And the thing is, it happens to every club. Every club has been burned by this once or twice, or however much you want to.
We were burned against Man City. That stands out to me. I don't know if you remember, but when Edison took Ryan Fraser out in the box.
Yeah.
Didn't even attempt to play the ball. He just completely wiped Ryan Fraser out. And again, that was because it was a different phase of play, so they'd already blown, so that wasn't allowed to be a foul. It was off the ball, and they were like, it was off the ball, so it doesn't count. I was like, what? So you can just now go into a game and just go and crunch everyone with 2-footers, and because it's off the ball, it's okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like other countries are doing so much better with it.
Yeah.
Right? Like Spain, when I watch La Liga, there's not this much.
The VAR in the Liga is so efficient.
I don't get why there's so much. It's so difficult to get it right in the biggest league in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Why is it so difficult? I cannot wrap my head around it. I genuinely can't wrap my head around it. But it is what it is. Everton, I think they will be safe, even though there is a lot of, I mean, they're facing Spurs next. I see that's not going to be an easy game. But I think the bottom pack is so bad. I mean, really, really bad. Watford's horrible, and we're going to get to them in a second here. Norwich, terrible. Leeds are sinking and sinking fast. So I think Everton, if they win 2 or 3 games on the bounce, I genuinely think they're going to be fine. So, keep the faith, Everton fans. Keep the faith. Next on the list here, Man United versus Watford. My club, 0-0 against the 19th place team in the league. I can't believe it. We created a lot of opportunities and couldn't convert it. I don't know what else to say. I don't know if you got a chance to see the highlights of that game or watch it, but I want to hear somebody else's opinion on Manchester United that's not a Manchester United fan. I don't get to do that often. So I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on that game.
The thing with Man United is I think that luck has it might not look like to you on the outside, obviously, because you guys are living in the reality, and I think luck has ridden you guys a lot over the past few years, specifically because, like, if you look at just past results, you're going into games playing worse than the other team and winning 1-0 because of just a fluky goal, just things like that. There's a lot of teams that work that way, and for me, I think people will blame Ralph Rangnick, and that's okay. There is blame to go on the manager. But when you watch a game like Watford and Man United and realise how many chances you are missing, that is not the man. A manager cannot change that, and he cannot control that. Obviously, he cannot control what's going on at the club at the moment in terms of the missing player, and that has left the attack somewhat weakened because you don't have him to rely on anymore. Not that you were beforehand, but just as if you needed a little injection of pace or energy to bring on. I think that it's unfortunate that you were kind of riding on sentiment a little bit at the moment, like playing, you can't drop Fred and McTominay, for example. And I watched them and I think, is all I'll say on that. The Pogba Bruno thing in midfield, that does not work. In my opinion, I think Paul Pogba is an exceptional midfielder, and I also think Bruno is, but separately. I don't think that partnership, I think we've seen in the past, that doesn't work necessarily. But I must admit, you cannot blame Ralph for the chances that are missed on the field, because that game against Watford, the chances that were missed, I can't even speak on it, because it was actually ridiculous. It was ridiculous, the amount of chances. At one time, you've got to believe that one of them is going to go in, and it still didn't.
I was so confident. I was so, even up until like the 80. I think it clicked for me in like the 85th minute. Holy shit, we're gonna draw this game.
Yeah,
like it just. I think I was so confident.
Early on in the season as well, didn't they? I think they did.
We lost. We lost to them 4-1. That's the Ali game. The last game.
I remember. But so, I've watched you guys, like, obviously you played us in December, and I could not believe that was the same Manchester United. I genuinely, early on in the season, when it was Ronaldo's first game back after he signed for you, and you were on top of us. Like, to be fair, the first half we were on top of you guys, but the second half in that game, like, we couldn't even get anywhere near you. And to play you again in December and see how you were, I was like, I couldn't believe. I genuinely couldn't believe it. I'm not even being rude. I just couldn't even believe it. And then obviously, if anybody doesn't know, I also do follow Atleti as well, and so we played you guys last week, and I couldn't even believe you drew that game.
I don't even want to.
That result was actually annoying. I was actually so annoyed.
Yeah. If I was you, I would be.
I was genuinely just like, how? Like, that's what I mean. But it's like little tiny little tiny specks of luck. Like Elanga, for example, who, by the way, has looked so strong every single time that he's played for you. I think he's one of the players that's flourished under Ralph Rangnick, and for some reason, Ralph likes him. I can see why. And it's just like little specks of luck, like that. Elanga just goes and does an unbelievable, has an unbelievable game and wins the game. It's just, it's just crazy.
I completely agree with pretty much everything you said. There's no way I'm blaming Ralph Rangnick for, that specific game against Watford. Yeah. I thought against Atletico, I blamed him. I'm like, the lineup was poor. the midfield. It was embarrassing how bad they.
Yeah, the midfield wasn't
it was
good.
so bad. But then this game against Watford, I liked the balance of the team. I liked seeing Paul Pogba on the left. We had 4 midfield players on the pitch, so we just dominated them. But we couldn't convert our chances. It's almost like the reverse of last season, where like we rode our luck so much last season, got second place. And then this season with under Ralph, we're creating a lot of chances, but now it's like the quality just isn't there. It's such a weird emotional season for me. I can't even wrap my head around it.
I'm going to ask you a question that you might not want to answer, but do you think you'll get top 4?
I do.
Okay.
It's a bit of a. I'm more so relying that Arsenal's going to crash and burn. That is. They haven't been in the Champions League, 6 years, 5 years, something like that. Time. And they have a lot of young players that haven't been here before. They're on a pretty decent run. Arsenal are, right. They've won 3 on the bounce. I know Arsenal, and I know that they're due for some fuck ups. That's just for lack of a better term. But no, that's a fair question. I've been asked a couple of times, over the past couple of days, and I know it's a bit of a pipe dream because they have 3 games in hand on us, which is not good, not good at all. But I'm not a big fan of games in hand FC. You got to win those games too. You know what I mean? Sure. So we'll see. Leeds versus Spurs. Actually, I think there's a question here for you. What's up with Newcastle's youth setup? Do they ever produce quality players? I can't think of any. That needs to be sorted out. Look at Chelsea and City. What do you think about that comment? It's an interesting one.
No, I completely agree. We have not produced any quality at all. For the last player of any decency that we produced was Andy Carroll. You could argue Sean Longstaff and Matty Longstaff, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily any quality. Unfortunately, the academy was completely. I'm not going to go on a ramble, but the academy was completely neglected under Mike Ashley, and we actually sold our grassroots contracts with the local clubs to Chelsea and Liverpool. So we actually don't have any connections there anymore. Apart from local connections, we don't have any contractual obligations with those clubs anymore, which is very sad because you want your local clubs involved, and the local clubs around us has produced some incredible football players. Michael Carrick, for example, Wallsend Boys Club, people like that. So yeah, it's just obviously Alan Shearer as well, but it's just very sad. That is why. So I think the focus will be now on the academy. They said they're not moving stadiums in the near future, at least. So that's not going to be an agenda. So I think they'll improve the academy from that point onwards.
Okay, very cool. Hopefully they do. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of money, and hopefully they spend it on that academy. Leeds versus Spurs, the end of Marcelo Bielsa in the Premier League. Such a crazy game. Kane, Son, and Kulusevski. Wow. Wow. I don't have it was special. I mean, that was a great performance. Marcelo Bielsa obviously lost his job after that game. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on Bielsa and his whole, philosophy, his style in the Premier League. Seeing some love here. Big up Temi and Kendall. Appreciate you, Kelly. Kane is the most complete striker in the world. I would say Lewandowski personally, but he's up there, no question about it. Harry Kane is a dog. He's an absolute dog. What are your thoughts on one that Spurs performance, and then the next thing is Marcelo Bielsa, moving on from Leeds?
Yeah, I thought Spurs looked the best, probably the best that they've looked this season so far. But unfortunately, I wouldn't say it's lessened by the fact that Leeds were so bad. But I just think that it was kind of just made easy for them. If you watch the defense from Leeds,
it's terrible.
I was just watching that. I was like, you really need to what is going on here? Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, I think Harry Kane looked extremely good. Like the elite level Harry Kane again.
So good.
The problem is under Antonio Conte at the moment, they're not consistent.
Right.
As we saw in the game before, very bad. So it's just they're not consistent. They really need to keep up with like the Man City performance against Man City, the performance against Leeds. They need to keep on that role rather than the inconsistency. I know it'll take a little bit of time, of course. The players have only just signed in January, Kulusevski, for example, but he has bedded in very well.
Right.
Him and Luis Diaz, obviously at Liverpool, have bedded in extremely well from foreign leagues. So yeah, just a little bit inconsistent for me at the moment. I think they'll probably get top 6.
No, for sure.
Everyone was like, "Oh, so like we're not even going to get top 8." I was like, "Oh, come on, guys!
Relax.
Sort it out." Just so dramatic, so dramatic. But yeah, in terms of Marcelo Bielsa, Leeds fans love him. It almost takes me back to when Rafa left us, because like we won the championship with Rafa, Leeds won the championship with Marcelo Bielsa. Got them promoted again after 16 years in the championship, and that'll probably never leave Leeds fans' mind.
Right.
I just think there's a lot of Leeds fans now saying, the owner should have done better. They should have sacked him in a better way, etc., etc. But come on, guys, like at this point in the season, you need results. You cannot, as I've just said about Man United, you cannot live on sentiment. It's just impossible.
Right.
I don't think Marcelo Bielsa's style of football in this current climate with their injuries is sustainable. Right. He has not changed. He's been really stubborn to change despite the injuries, despite the fact that they've been missing Calvin Phillips, Patrick Bamford, players like that for so long. It's just not been sustainable, and unfortunately we've found ourselves in the position that shows that. So yeah, it was almost a bit weird to me, like how the media and things like was so obsessed with Marcelo Bielsa. Yeah. Like if anyone else was conceding as many as they were scoring, right, it would be like, well, you need to sort our defence out. But it was like, it's Marcelo Bielsa, like unbelievable football, but like just a little bit crazy to me. But yeah, I do feel for him. He's apparently very well loved in the community, and has done a lot in the community despite the fact that he doesn't even speak much English. So it's really,
a weird,
really good.
It's a weird one for me because, like you mentioned, I think a lot of his best players were out for pretty much a majority of this season. Bamford is barely featured. Calvin Phillips has been out for this stretch of games where they've been, pretty poor, and he's a one-trick pony. We all know that. He's plays at the halfway line. He doesn't care how bad his defenders are. He's going to play at that halfway line. He's going to play front foot football, even if his players don't have the skill to play that that forward-thinking football or whatever. But I do have a soft spot for him because I believe that they haven't spent tons of money over the past 2 seasons they've been in the league, right? They spent, I think the most expensive signing was Dan James. And I know about Dan James. He's whatever, right? He's a decent player. He's not like going to change your life or anything like that, right? And specifically the defense. They've invested next to nothing in that defense. And if you want to play a high line, you need defenders who have pace, have that awareness, and their defense is apt. I don't think there's the new manager that comes in, they're still going to concede goals, even if they play a mid block, if they play a low block. I think they're still going to concede goals, right? Because their defenders are just not good enough. So I think in his head he was thinking, you know what, I'm going to play my style of football until they sack me, and that's literally what happened. I think a lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of people on, football Twitter talk as if he's not, like, he's overrated. I don't think he's overrated. I just think that, he's, how do I frame this? He's just a bit older and stuck in his ways, right? And it probably cost him, but he's gonna go to another club, I think, and be very successful, have better players, right? And I think we're gonna see a new version of Marcelo. But let's see the comments here. Bielsa stubbornness cost him his job. 100%. I would agree with that. He should have changed his approach in the big games.
Great.
I can't argue with it. I can't argue with it. Bielsa doesn't play like he's in a bottom 3 battle. He plays like a mid-table team, too risky. These are all factual things.
That's the problem. And coming from a person who supports a team who has been in several relegation battles in the last few years, you really have to change your approach, because you cannot just go into a game and do whatever you please. It doesn't work like that when you're battling relegation, because you've just got to pick up points where you can. So going into a game and losing 4-3, you can't do that. It's just, again, as I say, it's just not sustainable at all.
Right. No, 100%. The man marking system in 2022 doesn't work anymore. Sure. I'm not going to sit here and argue with that. Especially with his awful defenders, 1v1 marking is asking for goals conceded. 100%. It's a tough one. I feel for him because I understand why he did what he did, but at the same time, there's that element of, you need to be a bit smarter, a bit more, cheeky about how you go about things, right? And then I want to talk real quick. I do want to speak on Spurs. You've mentioned they've been a bit inconsistent, but that if Conte stays, right, and if they make, let's say, 3 to 4 signings in the midfield and defense, they are going to be very, very good. Like that front three of Kane, Son, Kulusevski, and then you have Mora and Steven Bergwijn to come off the bench. That's firepower, right? Like that is what you need. They just don't have the creativity in midfield that you need, right? That's why you see Harry Kane dropping so deep to, that fourth goal, that pass to Son. Oh my goodness. That's next level world class. I can't even put it into words how good that pass was. Shout out to my guy, Threadman Charles. Even tell me, hope you're well. Doing good, bro. Everyone who's watching with us, really appreciate y'all. Make sure to hit the like button for us. Make sure to subscribe to Kendall's Twitch. I'm going to be putting all her information inside the description of this YouTube live stream after this. So guys, make sure to subscribe to her Twitch, subscribe to her YouTube, follow her on Twitter. All that stuff's going to be in my description after this. So make sure to show her some love. Conte to Newcastle in 2 seasons, but surely I can't see Conte leaving in summer if Levy doesn't back up. Would you want Antonio Conte at Newcastle?
Depends. Depends where we are in a few seasons. To be quite honest, like just the way that we are right now, I don't think that Conte would. I don't know. I don't think it would work well enough. But Conte is a serial winner. So depending on where we are in a few years, I wouldn't say no to Conte. I think he's an incredible manager. Right. But he's not on my. Wouldn't necessarily say he's in my top 3 that I would like to take over.
I'm following you 100%. So for me, I wanted, like when we were down in the dumps in the beginning of this, I was like, go get him, like go get Antonio Conte right now.
I thought he was just playing his hand with you guys as well. I thought he was just genuinely like saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to Tottenham," but really wanted you guys to say, "Oh,
come." Literally, that's exact. I think if we put forth that effort, we could have gotten him easily. I genuinely believe that, but the media, Gary Neville out in public saying, "Oh, I don't want Antonio Conte. Oh, I don't want Antonio." I think stuff like that. I genuinely believe Gary Neville is like one of the most powerful people in television. Like when he speaks, like I genuinely think like the owners are listening and like, yeah, we should probably not do that. Like it's ridiculous. I can't even believe it. Kendall, what would you rate out of 10 the job Eddie Howe has done so far? Really good question there.
Do you know what? I have not one negative to say about Eddie Howe. Genuinely not 1 ounce of negative. In my opinion, it's 10 out of 10 because we were bottom of the table for so long, and we are now 14th.
Right.
So, what more can we say? No one in our position ever in the history of the Premier League has made it out of relegation from where we were.
That's crazy.
So that alone is insane. So for me at the moment, it's absolutely 10 out of 10. I don't have any. I can't even believe I'm sitting here saying it. Like I just genuinely don't have an issue at all with anything that's going on at the club at the moment. That is wild.
Who would have thought new ownership could just turn Kendall's heart so quickly? It's amazing. It's amazing. I got Gaz Elliott right here. He says, "I'm a Man United fan, but Kendall is so."
Thanks,
Kendall
Gaz.
is so cool. Oh yeah, Kendall.
I'll take that, guys. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Kendall is very cool. By the way, that's a true statement. Conte is a short-term solution, not a project. All that stuff is. I care about winning, bro. I don't all that short-term solution. Listen, there is very few Sir Alex Fergusons in the world, right? Like that stuff doesn't exist anymore, guys. Like, can we like accept that? Like this era of a manager staying at a club for 25 seasons. I wouldn't be shocked if Jurgen Klopp is gone in the next 3 or 4 seasons because he's just bored and he wants a new challenge. Like that's just how these younger managers think. These clubs are more impatient. Like this short term, like everything.
If you know what I mean? Right now, like who, apart from Jurgen Klopp, Pep at a push, Diego Simeone is the other one. Obviously, he's been at Atleti 10 years.
Right. Who else?
That's it.
That's it. No one else.
Literally it.
Yeah, no one else has a 5-year hit. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. But it is what it is, guys. How to be the first English manager to win the Prem? Wait,
Yeah, no English managers ever won the Premier League.
that is really crazy to think about. That's actually
because if you really think about it, though, like English managers are rubbish. Like they're not good. Like they're genuinely not. They're genuinely not good. Like that's coming from me. I'm English, and obviously I'm very English. They are not good. They're just not good managers. You cannot tell me of an elite English manager in the last 25 years. Like elite levels of English manager. You just can't.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like Big Sam, Roy Hodgson.
They're all dinosaurs. Steve Bruce, Big Sam, Mark Hughes as well. So he's not English, but who else was I thinking of there? It wasn't Mark Hughes I was thinking of. I can't think of anyone's name. Probably is a good thing. I can't even think of anyone's names. That's how
I genuinely can't.
Non-rememberable they are.
I genuinely can't. Geordies in general are lovable people, so jolly and down to earth. The niceness is that niceness ironically cost him trophies in the mid-90s. Keegan was too nice as compared to the hawkish Sir Alex Ferguson. That's really funny. Interesting. Funny story. So I work in tech. One of my like engineers was a Geordie, like tattoo on his chest. He showed me like he was like one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. Like one of the nicest dudes living in the States, like die hard Geordie. Yeah, you guys are. That's from if everyone else is like Sean, then you guys are great. That's facts. How and Neil Warnock. Oh my god.
This is what I mean. Look, Roy Hodgson and that.
Alan Pardew.
Guys, like it's just not good. Like this is what I mean. We've not had an elite English manager ever that I can think of off the top of my head. So Alex Ferguson's Scottish, so he's not involved.
Right. Howe and Potter, he's English, I think, are next up. That's true. Eddie Howe and Graham Potter are definitely really good managers. That is undeniable.
I agree, definitely. It's because they've been able to adapt to a new style of football that has been brought in the past 2 years that the likes of Pep have brought to the Premier League.
Exactly.
Whereas like this attack and forward thinking football, with picking out the easiest pass going forward. That's literally it. Yeah. You play managers like Neil Warnock, like Steve Bruce, Sam Allardyce. Yeah, they cannot change the tactics, but that even spreads a little bit more to all the managers like Jose Mourinho, like Rafa Benitez, who again didn't adapt. So everyone was saying, "Oh, they're finished." Right. But it wasn't that. It was just they didn't adapt to the new style of the Premier League. So that's why I think Howe and Potter have looked good because they've been able to change their style.
Yeah. I remember a few years ago. There was like a mini like clip that came out of like a training session from Eddie Howe, like at Bournemouth.
Yes, it was like where it was mic'd up.
And I was just like watching, like, wow, this guy's really impressive. Like, how old is he? Like, is he like early 40s or something?
Yeah, I think he's 40, 41.
This he must have been in his 30s at the time. Like, I was like, this guy is impressive. Like, just the way he's handling the training session. He's not one of those managers that's like in his office, like while his assistants are, he's like right on the pitch with it. So very cool. You guys are in a great position. Kelly asked me, Temi, who would you like to be the permanent boss next season for United? And 3 players you would sell. Do you really want to know who I'd sell?
I was going to say, can he say 8 players?
I'm about to say 3. I'd sell more than 3. This is a great question, Kelly. Actually, on Wednesday, I'm going to be having this discussion about who I would want to have as manager. So I'm not going to answer the question. What I'm going to do is make sure you tune in on Wednesday at 5:15 or 10:15 p.m. y'all's time. I'm going to have a full discussion. I have a guest. I haven't even told him about this, what the topic is, but I have a guest on Wednesday that's coming. We're going to talk about that. It's going to be really fun. So stay tuned for that. Who I'd sell, like off the top of my head, Harry Maguire, got to go. Gone. He has to.
The thing is, where will he go? Who's going to buy Harry Maguire? Genuinely,
no clue. I don't care. Go back to Hull City. Like, I do not care. Like, literally, Harry Maguire's one. Who else would I sell? I don't know if I want to do this. My Manchester United fans might get in my
Fred Wan-Bissaka.
Fred, no, I wouldn't sell Fred. I'd make him a squad player. I'd make Fred a squad player. He just shouldn't be playing week in, week out. I think he has a role to play. I just don't think he should be, starting week in and week out.
Would you sell Pogba?
No. I would not sell
Okay.
Paul Pogba. Like the thing with Paul is
For
like,
his benefit, would you sell
yeah,
him?
yes.
Yeah.
If I was Paul Pogba, I would be on the
Yeah.
first ticket to Real Madrid. Like I'd be gone, right?
He needs that Martial treatment. He just needs like a remontada
Yeah,
somewhere else. He just needs to
100%.
get like rid of the toxicity, I
Kelly,
think.
I don't know if I want to do this game of 3 players to sell because it might get really toxic. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to do that. Marcus Rashford might have to go too. Marcus Rashford, I'm sorry, you might have to go. I'm sorry. You know, I love you, but
Jesse Lingard?
oh, thank you. That's easy. Thank you. Just 3 players right there. Lingard, you got to
Lingard
go.
to Newcastle probably
Yeah.
because Eddie Howe likes him a lot.
Oh, really? Oh, I mean, Lingard's a good player, but
Actually, thinking about it now, though, like in the summer, if we still, maybe he's not really on the list anymore.
All the money, all the money you have now. You want Lingard? Oh, no. You
Yeah,
don't want
no.
that. Newcastle should drop a bid for Maguire. Oh, 100 guys.
Kelly,
please,
don't wish bad things on us, please.
Please,
We're just getting some positivity.
Yeah, so Gaz says sell the whole lot. 100% agree. How would get Rashford playing? Yes and no. I mean, you know what? I think that's a good point. I think Rashford has been so mismanaged in his career. Like he had Jose at he had Van Gaal. Van Gaal left really early in his career. Then he had Jose for a couple of seasons, and that's just not what you want as a young attacking player. Like, just didn't make him improve. Then he had Ollie, who was like, do whatever you want, he scored a ton of goals, a ton of assists, but he never like refined his game. But I still love Marcus
And
Rashford.
He played injured for like nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
So which is never gonna help ever.
It's crazy. We have a couple more games. These games are kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Crystal Palace versus Burnley. Elise showed really well. It was a 1-1 draw, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Elise. I don't know what you think about him as a player.
Yeah, I like a couple of Crystal Palace's players actually.
Yeah.
Eze, Elise, Conor Gallagher.
If I was Newcastle, I'd go get Conor Gallagher. Such a good player. Such a good player.
The thing is with Chelsea's midfield at the moment, I think they're probably going to see a few off in the summer. I think N'Golo Conte will be gone. I think even push Jorginho will be going. So in my opinion, I think he's going back to Chelsea unless they get Declan Rice. And then I think their approach might change a little bit. I know it's like different positions, but I think their approach might just change if they get Declan Rice back. But yeah, I would love Conor Gallagher. I would absolutely love to get Conor Gallagher. In fact, I was actually gutted that we didn't go in for him initially when he went to Crystal Palace. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great 100%. Fair point. This is such a funny comment to me. Oh, it wasn't. He just smiled.
I shared something that was like a year ago today, and Fred had a shot on target, and
he's like,
Ollie was like,
"Yeah, good job." Like what? Oh my goodness. Brighton versus Villa. I think that was a
Villa won 2-0. Yeah,
2-0 win. A really good Matty Cash goal. He showed some love for one of his Ukrainian friends. So so all the people in Ukraine.
Brighton have fell off lately.
Yeah, but the thing with Brighton is I think they're always just outperforming their talent. Like I think Graham is such a good manager. That there was a moment in the season where I think they like drew like a few games on the bounce, and then they got like Brighton fans were booing.
Yes.
and then Graham Potter was like, I don't know who you think we are, but we're Brighton. Like,
I rated him so highly for that as well, because he was like what
funny.
are you doing? Like, honestly, what on earth?
He's like, I don't remember. Like, what are you? Have you guys lost your mind? Like, do you remember who we're Brighton? Like, we're literally Brighton. What are you guys?
They were like funny. 8th as well, still at that point.
Yeah, they were 8th. I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, what do you want? Like, as soon as he leaves, you guys are probably in trouble. Like, probably in trouble unless you go and replicate. I don't know. You're gonna replicate another Graham Potter. But no, it's a weird one. I think I missed the game. There was a Friday game, wasn't there?
It was Southampton and Norwich.
And yes, I definitely forgot to put that on the list here. What happened in that game? I don't even remember.
I think it was 2-0. 2-0. Okay. Yeah, 2-0 Southampton, I think.
Oh, interesting. Brighton fans need to be grateful to Potter. 100%.
Yes. Sorry, about the Southampton game. Romeo scored like an unbelievable goal.
I missed. That's the one. That's the one game I forgot to do my little studying.
It really wasn't.
It's Southampton and Norwich.
Anything. It was Southampton and Norwich. Like, do you know what I
No,
mean?
no shade to Southampton fans. No shade to Norwich fans.
If you're like a casual Premier League watcher, that's never going to be a game you tune into. Let's be honest.
Like I'm a pretty obsessive football watcher. Like I watch most of these. Like I watch Premier League. I watch La Liga a lot. But Friday I think I was working, right? I think I was working. I'm not watching that right now.
Yeah, probably. Exactly as well. You're like behind us as well.
Yeah.
So you're never going to just switch off at work and go and watch Southampton Norwich.
I get so jealous of like, you guys watch like football matches, like especially Champions League games. Like Champions League matches happen during like my work hours. So like I'm like sneaking away, like, like have the game on like on the corner, like while I'm in a meeting. Like it's I'm really jealous.
Like if you and me, who watch all football like regularly practically every single day of the week, if even we won't turn off to go and watch that.
Yeah.
Well, that's just.
Right.
I mean, it's very cheeky of me, to be fair, because like no one's going to watch Newcastle Brentford either. So it's very cheeky of me to say that. But realistically, you're not going to watch Southampton Norwich. No,
I honestly, I watch. There's certain teams I watch because I'm fascinated by like where they're like their story and like what they're like. Newcastle genuinely fascinates me. Like I just like what you guys are going through, and like everything is just very interesting to me. So like I keep an eye on you. I keep an eye on Brighton because I just like the way they play football.
Yeah.
Right. I find Graham Potter's football to be entertaining. Back when what's his name? Daniel Farker was at Norwich. I used to really, even though they would lose, the games would be so much fun to watch because there's just like 6 goals in every game. Like it was so much fun. It was so much fun. Guys, make sure to hit the like button for me. Make sure to follow Kendall on Twitter. Make sure to follow her on Twitch. I'm going to put her information in my description. You feel me? So make sure to show her some love. Probably should have done that earlier. My bad on that. But guys, we're rounding up here. We're getting to the top of the hour. Kendall, again, I appreciate you so much. You've done a great job. This is the first stream me and Kendall are doing together, and I think it was a really, really good one. I don't know what you guys think. I thought it was pretty fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Looking ahead into this week, I can't think of anything. I don't think are there Champions League games this week? I don't think so.
No.
Okay, yeah. So it's gonna be a pretty slow week if I'm FA Cup
now. Coming into the next 2-3 weeks, the fixtures are seriously congested because it's all of the postponed fixtures over Christmas that are happening now. So like we've got 3 away games in 7 days.
Oh my goodness.
7 days, 10 days, 10 days. So we've got like Everton, Southampton, Crystal Palace away in 3 days. So yeah, all the fixtures are getting like this. If anyone plays FPL on here, go and change your team right now because there's lots of double game weeks this week.
I can't go and do FPL. That. I can't do FPL.
I'm sick of it now. I'm gonna admit. Honestly, I was like flying so high. I was like 5th in my league out of like 125 people. I was like, oh, you guys, like, I'm doing so well. Last week, obviously, Liverpool didn't have a game. So Salah didn't play, Fabinho didn't play, Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't play, Man City played Norwich, so Cancelo and Diaz didn't play, or whatever. Cancelo didn't play, Kevin De Bruyne didn't play. So I had like 20 points or something like that. That was like, so embarrassing. So then I went to like 11th in my league and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not even interested in it now.
Like for me, like I play like fantasy, like NFL, like National Football League, and I play fantasy basketball, and there's like money involved. So like it's like okay, I can get into this, but like I have friends who like play FPL for like no money, and I'm just like I can't do it. Like I need something to.
Because like, what is the benefit? Yeah, all you do is stress over nothing. Like
it's like what I need some like monetary motivation if I want to do like something like that. So Kendall, thoughts on Atletico versus United? So I've already asked Kendall. The next time we face, I think it's in 2-3 weeks or something like that. She's gonna be on the preview. She's gonna join me for the preview, and we're gonna talk all about it, right? But yeah, no, that game was so bad. I was livid. Like I was livid. The fact that we even got something out of that, I know you're livid. So like you guys were killing us.
It was very frustrating because it was probably one of the best games that we've played for ages. Like our form in the league has been extremely poor. We, in terms of Manchester United and Atletico this season, we both conceded and scored roughly the same amount of goals. And in fact, I think we've only scored one more than you. Not now because we won quite well at the weekend. But we at that point of the game, we'd only scored one more than you, and we'd conceded the same. So it was very equal going into the game. I've never seen us play that well initially. And I was just genuinely so shocked at how well we played. And then second half, I just knew I did a watch along because obviously I was meant to be in Madrid watching the game, but I couldn't go. And I did a watch along. And I said before second half, I said, I know what we're going to do here. And it concerns me because I knew we were going to sit back.
Right.
Because obviously it took the away goals rule away from Champions League this season. Right. Going forward, I knew we were just going to sit back and that was going to be an issue. And exactly what happened. We let you guys have too much of the ball. Elanga came on and did what he needed to do. And that was literally it. And I just knew that was going to happen. And it was really, really frustrating. But yeah, just the good things, obviously, a couple of players like stand out, like João Felix, for example, Correa, Renan Lodi, who has had two really, really decent games for us now. So yeah, it's players that we aren't usually relying on or who haven't been the best in the past, who are now coming to be fantastic. Jeffrey Kondogbia, I thought, was brilliant as well.
Kondogbia was absolutely abusing us.
Yeah,
like I was tweeting about him, like, this guy he's doing what Pogba should be doing. That's what I was like. It was absolutely unreal. I'm a Manchester United. Kieran says I'm a Manchester United fan, but my guess is as good as yours. What's going to happen in that game? 100%.
I don't know what's going to happen now.
I think that if we pick the right squad, I do think with that atmosphere at home, I think we have an advantage. But if he does what he did last time, playing Victor at right back and just Fred, Pogba, Bruno midfield, disgusting. Like, no, that's a recipe for disaster. Interesting. Kendall says, Kieran says, why do you support Atletico Madrid when you're from Newcastle? She supports both, bro.
I support Newcastle obviously because I'm born and raised. Obviously you will see up here that, well, I don't know if you can see from there, but Fernando Torres is my all-time favorite player. And he is the reason why I support Atleti, because I went on holiday my granddad was like an obsessive football fan. And whenever we used to go on holiday as kids, he would always take us to a local game wherever we were at that time. So I've been to see like Real Mallorca, I've been to see Las Palmas, I've been to see Alicante, like just various things as a kid. So it just so happened that we were in Barcelona at the time, and Barcelona reserves were playing Atleti reserves. We stumbled across the training ground, like genuinely, like actually stumbled across the training ground on a walk. And Fernando Torres was injured, was playing for fitness at the time. Watched him and I was like, I love him. I was 9 and I was like, I love this player. So from that point onwards, I followed Atleti, and then lo and behold, obviously 3 years later, he was a Liverpool player. Right. So I have followed his career throughout my life, and I've also followed Atleti since that point as well. So coming up 17 years now.
Wow. That's a real life fan story if I've ever heard one. That's a real life fan story if I've ever heard. Pogba owes us a monster class after Kondogbia bossed him about in the first. 100%. I was so hard on. I completely ripped into Paul Pogba after that game. I was like, you owe us one. Like, you definitely owe us one. But guys, we're coming up on the top of the hour. I know it's late for Kendall. I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer. Kendall, again, I appreciate you so much for hopping on the channel with me.
Guys, thank you. As I said, it's my pleasure, genuinely. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate that. Guys, make sure to hit that like button for me. Hit the subscribe button for me. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before summer. It sounds impossible. It does sound impossible, but
we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it. All right, guys. Appreciate you so much. We're wrapping up, guys. All love. Thank you so much. I will talk to all of y'all very, very shortly. Deuces.